everyone, thanks again for tuning into Sin's Workshop. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we're going to be talking about Ravage the Dark, the sequel to Scavenge the Stars by Tara Sim. This is the second novel in her young adult duology and the conclusion that took the story of the Count of Monte Cristo and retold it in a gender-bent way. As I said with Scavenge the Stars, I love good, fresh retellings that kind of reinvent, and that's what I think Tara Sim did with her duology here. I'm just going to briefly talk about the series as a scope. She took Scavenge the Stars, she took that story of the Count of Monte Cristo, definitely, and she retold it, but she retold it in a way that gave her fuel to kind of do her own thing, hence why we have a duology. It really is different from the Count of Monte Cristo in that way. It follows kind of the same formula. Amaya was on a debtor ship, wrongly there. She should not have been there in the first place, and then she escapes with the help of a mysterious person who educates her and turns her into a countess. She goes back home with the hope of taking down everyone who destroyed her family. That's basically the gist of the first book. That's where she meets Caio, who was, he's the son of a rich merchant. And I think his story was just very well told in the first one. You can see my review of Scavenge the Stars on YouTube in the 2020 videos, but she has taken these two characters, because it does follow both of their perspectives, and she has developed them in a very unique and interesting way for the story to progress in a natural way, rather. That's what I think is great about it. Sorry if I'm not all here today. I still have a headache, so I'm not really feeling too great today. Again, guys, I hear this pregnancy is not doing me favors right now. But in any case, he's discovered, Caio in this novel. It picks up pretty much right where the first novel book took off. They're all in a boat. They're going to, I forgot the name of the land that they're going to, because they apparently have, treatment and cure for ash fever. Caio's sister has ash fever, and it turns out ash fever is caused by the chemical composition found on counterfeit coins. So basically, Amaya and her crew, they want to stop this. Now that they know that they've been lied to and manipulated in a way to spread this horrible disease that pretty much has no cure, they are on a goal to find Boone and trace back the counterfeit coin to its originating point so that they can put a stop to it and hold everyone accountable, because it's really just destroying the civilization and their country, Moray, as a whole. So that is their goal now. His goal, Caio's goal is just to kind of, his sister's the only family he has left. His father, the merchant, turns out he was part of this counterfeit organization. So it was just kind of no, just no, we're not doing this. So he wasn't a great father. If you read Scavenge the Stars, he was a shit dad. And their goal here is to just kind of hold everyone accountable. Amaya and her friends, they definitely don't like being lied to and manipulated to the way that they were. They have consciences, they have these morals and ethics. They're still bent on revenge and, in a way, but still, you can connect to these characters because so much wrong has been done to them as a whole, and you feel for them. You really do. You have an emotional connection to these characters, and I really think that's good for the storytelling. If you can emotionally connect to the characters and understand the motivations, that's a good story, because at that point, you know, it's okay if the plot or the story is kind of meh, lackluster, as long as these characters are driven. And I'm not saying that the story here is lackluster. It's not. Like I said earlier, Sim has taken this adaptation and she's just got away with it. She's just like, it's such a clear progression of the story. It's a clear progression of the narrative, and of these two narratives that do drive the story forward. They are growing as well. They both have to contend with who they were in the past and all the mistakes that they've made in their life, you know? And I think that's why it connects to the reader, because at some point in all of our lives, we tend to reflect back on who we were, and we were just like, wow, we did a lot of shit. A lot of stupid shit too sometimes. And that's what makes them compelling, that, you know, they did form a romance by the end of the book, but then, you know, he's found out she's been lying to him this entire time, and he's just like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. So they have to regain the trust that was lost between the two of them. They have to regain a semblance of who they were, the good parts of who they were, because they've just both been lost in so much darkness. You know, he's been lost in gambling after the death of his mother. You know, he just kind of found solace in, you know, gambling and not really doing a lot of good. And she, you know, she was lost in her need for revenge, like the people who destroyed my family. They must pay, you know, like, Ine Montoya, you killed my father. Very bad to die. That's basically how she is. Wow. Yeah, that's basically how she is. I don't know. It just came to me. I didn't think about that when I was reading the book, but that's what her motivation was, you know. She was just driven by this one thing, and now this one thing blinded her from the ramifications of it, of everything that's happened. So there's a lot of complexities with the characterization, and there's lots of complexities with the character dynamics, but they are realistic. You know, they do have a lot of emotion attached to them. They do have a lot of emotion and tension and growth attached to them as the story progresses, because they are evolving as the story goes forward. They are going forward and growing as far as the story goes. And I do like the plot, how it unfolds, because there's lots of plot twist to it that keep the story unpredictable. I didn't see that coming, you know. In hindsight, maybe I should have, but even thinking now, even sitting here, even doing this, you know, I'm thinking back in hindsight, should I have seen that coming? No, I didn't really see that coming, you know. So it did catch me off guard, but they didn't feel like out of left field, that it didn't flow with actual storytelling. You know what I mean? It just kept you off guard. It was unpredictable, and I think I've said this enough in my videos. I like it when a story is unpredictable. I do like it when the story is unpredictable. I do like when there are plot twists, and unsuspecting things that happen in order to keep the reader engaged. Because I don't want to read a book and halfway through it, or even a quarter through it, know the ending. No one wants that. We want to be kept at the edge of our seats, you know. Sorry, as readers, I think we do want to be kept at the edge of our seats so that we can see where the story is going, so that we can lose ourselves in this magical world. And that's why I liked it. That's why I did like the story. Because it was unpredictable. Because the development of the story just like, it was one thing after another, but it fit. It fit in the scope of the story. It felt natural. It didn't feel forced. It was just very fluid writing and very fluid storytelling, and ultimately, I enjoyed it. I really did. I loved it. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and give Ravage the Dark 4 out of 5 stars. It's a very good conclusion to a very good series. And if you like the Count of Monte Cristo, I really do think you're going to like the story, because it does have a lot of those elements in the story. But it just takes it and it runs with it, and it does something new with it. It's not just, your straightforward retelling. You know, I like retellings that take the original story, use elements of the original story, but reinvent them and redo them in a different way. And that's what Sim does with this series as a whole. So highly recommend. If you want to go ahead and purchase this book, I will include a link in the description below to purchase it on bookshop.org. If money's tight, or if you don't want to purchase from bookshop.org, you know, just remember, please, to just support your local bookseller, support your local library. Just don't get it from Amazon. That's all I ask. Only because the bookstores deserve our support more than Amazon does, I think. That's just my personal opinion of it. Might not be yours, but that's my opinion. So I strongly encourage you to purchase the book from your local bookseller, online book retailer, preferred online book retailer, or check it out from your local library if money is tight. On that note, I hope you all will continue to support me by liking this video, subscribing to my channel, and sharing it with all your book-loving friends. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. You can also become a supporter on Buy Me a Coffee. There's a link in the description below, as well as by purchasing one of my handmade candles. Have a great rest of your day, everyone, and happy reading.